Guys. So I'm very excited tonight because I finally have on the program the ViSions Women's Ministry, and we'll get to hear about that. So ladies, thank you so much. Thank you for writing to me. And also, I just want to thank you all for coming, taking time out of your Sunday evening to join us. And Marlene, I'm going to let you get started with introducing yourself, and then we'll go down the line, okay?
Okay, all right. Marlene Jones, I'm from ViSions Women's Ministry. And when God first laid that on my heart, I was a little challenged about it. But, you know, when you know the word and you know the voice of the Lord, you know you have to be obedient. And one of the things that inspired me is the condition that our women are in nowadays. I know we take on more challenging roles, and we're starting to fall like through the cracks. We're losing like our self-respect, and that was of great interest to me and a group of other women who are also in the ministry. So, you know, I answered that call, and it's a challenge, you know, and it hurts because, you know, years ago our women had a lot of self-respect, and they knew where they were going, and as women anyway, we're very nurturing, you know. And so it hurts that they have taken a turn and they've lost their way and they don't know really what their purpose is in life. They don't know what a woman's job is and what God's plan is for us. You know, so it inspired us, and our ministry does a lot of things. You know, in few words, we empower, spiritually enrich, and we reach out and help.
And there's lots of different components to ViSions Women's Ministry. There's bereavement there. So I'll let you introduce yourselves and the area that you guys each focus on. Is that okay? Go ahead.
My name is Reverend Tracy Wilson, and I am a survivor of domestic violence. So that is my focus.
Okay, thank you, Tracy.
My name is Reverend Cheryl Thomas, and I'm an encourager in inspirational writings, and also a ministry on wheels, those that are sick or shut in, to visit them if they need food, if they need prayer, just to encourage them. So that's mine.
And I'm Cassandra Young, and I take care of the youth. I handle the educational piece, one-on-one counseling with students who need college assistance, you know, SAT prep, looking up colleges, anything.
Okay. So, Marlene, you were talking about when this first was placed on your heart by God. So tell me about that process and the women the people that comprise ViSions Women, because in your email to me you mentioned that it's not just women.
No, it is not. We have a group of men of God who support us in a lot of things that we do. And the purpose of that is because our brothers are also lost. You know, they do not do what they are supposed to do. They more or less do what they want to do. So we have a group of a minister and a couple of other gentlemen who are willing to help out. We call them our willing workers, you know. So whenever we need them, they make themselves, you know, available, and they do what they can to help out, to reach out to the young men. Because again, they also have lost their way. They no longer respect women, and not everyone, you know. So it's a challenge, and we each have something that God has called us all to do. You know, we each have a purpose in life, you know. And so we kind of reach out to anyone that's willing to listen. You know, our conferences, some are for women, some are for men and women. And of course, you know, when that happens, we have the men there who also speak with them. We encourage women to, you know, to reach for their roof. Like, you're better than what you are experiencing. That life is a challenge, that is true. But also, where you are is not where you'll always be. You know, you have to press forward, and it's for a purpose. You know, everything we experience is not just for us. You know, sometimes it's later down the road to encourage someone else.
Exactly.
You know, so we just tell our women, you know, that, and young ladies alike, that, you know, whatever it is that God's calling you to do, to try to answer. You know, if you don't know who the Lord is, you know, we try to send them to like a Bible-based church. You know, and there are many, you know, and of course we have different ministers who are our foundational ministers, we call them, because they were initially the ones that God had laid on my heart. And I do want to point out that both Reverend Tracy Wilson and Reverend Cheryl Thomas, I didn't know them personally, so I was very hesitant, you know, because I just wasn't sure.
Right.
And when I called them, though they didn't know me, you know, that well either, they accepted it, you know. And so things just kind of fell into place as to what is, you know, supposed to happen. And we got all set up administratively. And, we support the churches that each of us go to, and we impress upon both men and women that God is not concerned about their religion, that He is concerned about their relationship with Him. And so we stress that a lot of times, and, we encourage, we reach out, we're able to help, some people who are having crisis, because there's not a big chain of command in our ministry.
Right.
You just go straight to the treasurer to see if it's available.
So, Reverend Tracy, tell us about your experience. Domestic violence is a very, very, very sensitive topic. So, tell us about your experience. You sent some very poignant questions that we can get to, but just an overall view.
Okay. I was in a relationship, 14 years, sticks in my mind, for 14 years. About 11 of those were abusive. It started out, which I didn't know at the time when it started out, that it was actually domestic violence. It just started out, with the controlling, making threats, standing in front of the door, you're not going anywhere, things of that nature. And then, of course, it escalated. And there was a child involved that was in the home, that lived in fear, the whole time that they were in the home. And the thing about it was that, people say, why don't you leave? Why do you stay in this relationship? But you're living a life of fear, There's the fear, if I stay, I'm going to die. If I leave, I'm going to die, So there's that constant fear.
So, what was it for you that made you leave?
I can recall a time when there was a weapon involved. In all the years of abuse, there was never a weapon involved. He was a drug user, and it was not a secret to me that he was a drug user. But in all the years, he had never used drugs in my presence. He would leave the house for days, or he would lock himself in the house so that I was not able to enter in. But this particular day, there was a weapon involved, and there was drug use in my presence. So that, and there were many threats, that I'm going to kill you. So because of these things that he never done before was taking place now, this time I believed I'm going to kill you.
Did you have help?
God.
Yes.
God was my help. I can remember being in the situation that I was in at that time and communing with God. I was just talking to Him. I had really surrendered to Him. At that point, I had told God that I did not believe that this was how my life was going to end. But if it was, I accepted it. I was willing to die that day. And God being who He is and how He is, He caused a distraction. A distraction came, and He allowed me to escape.
So, how many years was that ago? How long ago was that?
I have been out of the relationship, I'm going to say about 19 years.
And at what point during that time did you really know I'm free? Because it wasn't the first year. It wasn't.
No, it was not the first year. I didn't even realize that I was being abused, not even with the first hit. I didn't look at it as domestic violence at that point. It really, when I recognized that it was domestic violence, was when I had some people from a law enforcement agency sit down and talk with me. And they were fearful for me. And they wanted to send me and my daughter away. They wanted to change my name. They wanted to change some of my identity. So that was when I really realized, the realization came from me. But again, it was God who delivered me because He had another plan for me.
That's right.
So in working with ViSions, What type of experiences have you had, and how are you able to help the women who come to you guys for spiritual guidance?
We haven't actually had a focus on domestic violence yet.
Okay. Well, that's good.
It is.
But I do a lot of ministering, and it's just being really real with the women. One thing to and understand too, domestic violence is not just women are just not the victims. But it's important to just be real and be open and be honest. And one thing when you're in a abusive relationship, you tend to think that you're in this alone, and that you're the only one that is experiencing this, and that's not true. That's not true.
So after you came to the realization of what was going on, did you ever say it to him? Did you ever say, this is an abusive relationship?
I don't think I've ever said it, but I'm confident that we both knew it. You know, there was always the sorries, you know, I'll never do it again. And I always believed them for a long time. I really, really believed it.
Well, the reason I ask that is because the guests that we've had on the program on this topic, one of the things I've heard is that the other person doesn't identify it as abusive, and then when it's spoken, then there's this, no, it's not, it's your imagination, it's you. You're too sensitive, you're whatever. I was just wondering if that had been your experience.
You know, I don't recall actually ever speaking it, but as I said, I'm pretty confident that, you know, he realized that, you know, his behavior was abusive.
Unacceptable, right.
And unacceptable, yes.
So Reverend Cheryl, tell us about Ministry on Wheels.
Ministry on Wheels, one person I can think of in particular, she hasn't been able to make it to church for a while because of some problems she's been having, a lot of pain she's been suffering. So we decided to go and visit her. Not only did we visit her to encourage her, but we took food and we fellowshipped, and she loves music, so I even sang her a song and read some poetry to her. But just to let her know that although you're going through pain, that you're not alone in this. You have people that care for you. And when we go and minister on wheels, we pray for people. We're just there for them. We're a support group for them. Okay. So letting them know that they're not alone, you know. And I love to cook, so it's nothing for me to make a big meal and take it to them. And it's a blessing to be able to give and show love, you know.
Last week we had on a guest who has an adopt-a-grandparent program. And I'm going to guess that at this time of year, you're going to be very busy, because it's getting around that time of year when the absence of companionship is really felt.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
So
yes.
That the Adopt-a-Grandparent Ministry on Wheels, they sound like this is going to be a very critical and crucial time to get the message out that you're still
Yes.
loved and cared about.
And we love doing it. We do it from the heart. It's not a drudgery. It's not something that someone's making, because we never know when we might be in that situation. So it's been a blessing.
So Cassandra, tell us more about the work that you do with the youth.
Well, I just have a passion for education and helping young people, and especially our first generational students. And what I mean by that, in case people don't know, is children whose parents did not attend college. So what I've come to realize is if your parents didn't go to college, the parents don't necessarily know how to direct their children, because they don't have that common experience. So I just like helping out and researching and giving information. There's so much out there that kids don't know. And in the schools are pretty crowded, and guidance counselors have big caseloads. So I just feel like I'm just giving, you know, extra assistance for those who are interested.
So do you also have time to spend with the parents to get them on board with what you and the students are working on?
Yes, I try to as much as I can. Usually it's just the students, but I mean, we recently did a college tour. We went to Delaware State, and so we did have some parents attend with that.
How many
So
kids did you take?
we had 16.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We were supposed to have more, but you know, 16 was a good number.
When was that?
We went a couple weeks ago.
Do you have any more of those tours planned?
We're working on it. We're working
No
on
pressure.
it. Yeah.
So how do people find out, Marlene? Because we didn't even get into the bereavement ministry that you have. How do people find out how to get in touch with you guys for assistance in any of these areas?
We have a 855 number, and you can, Cassandra has set it up, and I want to say that if you press 1, it's the general mailbox, and then 2 for education, and it goes on.
Okay.
We have operated for the last couple years by word of mouth, our connectional events, and we bring, invite people out who are in need, along with some, who are saved and are already on their path of being a virtuous woman. So we operate like that. We put a ad or whatever it is that we need to do. Every one of us, and those of us who are even not here, we belong to different churches, and so we kind of connect that way also. And we just, invite out people that we know. We operate by, like I said, by word of mouth. We do have a P.O. box because we do not have space yet, but again, we are reachable. The website is still being worked on, but you can still view it. And as soon as, we find some space, and, we like to get into some other things, as long as when you have space, you kind of function a little better. So that's kind of like how we do it. We have also helped one lady, somebody had passed away, and she ran into a problem with trying to get, mortgage paid and get things like that straightened out. So we were able to offer her assistance. Last year, we were able to help a family at the last minute, because the churches have like closing dates as well as the other organizations, and we don't. It was the last minute. We were able to help a grandmother who had recently won custody of her 3 grandchildren. So we were able to help her, help them with the holiday. So again, it's just by word of mouth. We're all connected. All of our husbands and things are support us. Of course, you met Reverend Cheryl's husband, who is out there. He, helps us out with the men, and then there's my husband, Reverend Anthony Smith, who is from another church in Chester. So everyone is from different denominations.
Right.
Again, God is not concerned with our religion; it is our relationship. We operate by word of mouth so far, and of course, we're hoping to build a relationship, with you all, and just kind of, reach out to the community and let them know that we're there. One year we delivered Thanksgiving baskets a few places in Wilmington. We're growing. We do have about, I think there's maybe 12 or 14 of us that are active, and then we have those that fellowship with us all the time, whether it be the men's conferences or the men and women's conferences. We just make ourselves available. When someone calls Elder Debbie Richardson, who is also from Philadelphia, she runs the Night Watch Prayer Ministry, which is on Monday nights at 10. I do think she's getting ready to change the time to that. So there are usually a lot of different people on the line on that night. So everyone does something different. Like I said, Reverend Esther Newton, she does the bereavement. And we all have something to do, and we try to encourage everybody, that God has something for you to do. Don't ever feel like you were created for nothing. We all were created with a purpose in mind. And so we try to, enrich, stimulate, and get our sisters moving, and, help them to see that, life is good. It's all in how you look at it. Once you accept the Lord, I'm not saying you won't have any struggles, but you will handle it differently. You have a different approach. So that's kind of how our outreach is operating so far.
Okay. We want to make sure that we share the website with the viewers. So it's www.visionswm.org. So that's Visions Women's Ministry, WM.org. So, and then there's the 855 number. I'll get that from you later, and we'll put it on the segment. So this will be up on YouTube. This will be on our Facebook page probably tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we can make sure that we do get the word out. How long have you been doing this? How long has this Visions been?
We were established in the fall of 2012. when we all got together and you know, talked and decided, you know, we'd hold our first women's conference. And we had a good turnout. You know, our topics were wonderful. They were on tier, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of them was, you know, stop the world, I want to get off. And it went well, you know, and people wanted to, you know, ask questions, and we did a Q&A, and they wanted to know when the next one was. So after that, it kind of started falling into place. You know, when it's of God, it will do what it's supposed to do in its rightful time. And we do thank you and Mike both for allowing us to come on to this show.
Well, you're very welcome, and you guys are welcome back whenever you want to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As long as we have time and space, you have time and space.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. It's been a blessing.
Thank you. Yes, it has. At home, we are going to ask you to please stay tuned for the Congo Hour. They're coming up right after this. I'm going to say goodnight on behalf of myself and Michael. Have a wonderful, blessed week. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I do hope you get to spend some time with your families, and we will see you next week. Aubin, you can go ahead and play whatever you want. If you want to play the Finneys or the Delaware Pathways to Employment, we'll play that out. Good night, everyone. Take care.